Morning, everybody. It's good to see you back. So when you're ready, find your way to your seated position and we'll start with some of those breathing practices we do. No rush about that, but whenever you've settled in, just close your eyes for the next few moments and redirect your attention to your breathing. It's okay to have thoughts playing in the background, just try not to interact with those thoughts. For the next few moments, try to be more aware of your breathing than whatever it is that you're currently thinking. And the moment you forget about your breath, just notice that you have and slowly redirect. And today we'll start with a form of the alternate nostril breath. It's called the 9-part pattern. So when you're ready, lift your right hand up to your face and place the tip of your index and middle finger right between your eyebrows. Breathe in deeply. Exhale all of your air. Use your thumb to block the right nostril and breathe in left. Ring finger to left, exhale out the right. Then again, breathe in left. Breathe out the right. Inhale left side. Exhale right side. Breathe in the right side. Breathe out the left side. Inhale right. Exhale left. Once more, inhale right side. Exhale out the left. Now drop your hand for a moment. Breathe all the way in. Then hold your breath. Exhale all the way. As you hold to the top, do your best to relax. Again, breathe in. Hold. Exhale. As you hold your breath, let your mind clear as well. One more huge breath in. Exhale all the way. Then breathe normally again. And pay attention to your inhaling as well as your exhaling. And join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. And bring to mind someone you'd like to dedicate today's practice to. And send that person some good energy mentally. All right, then when you're ready, open your eyes. And we'll start with just a couple warm-ups. So slide your right hip just a little further back for a twist. And take your left hand to your right knee. Place your right hand on the floor behind you. As you ground down through your sitting bones, sit up just a little taller. And then rotate your spine to your right. And gaze straight backward over your shoulder behind. Use your inhales to send breath into your ribs. Empty out your lungs completely with your exhales. And if your body allows and loosens up, then just spiral and spin a bit deeper into the twist. No need to force things though. And then release the twist. For a different posture, at least first, take your left hand to the floor outside your hip. Reach your right arm straight up, and then side bend to your left. Just put a big C-shaped curve in the side of your spine and reach strongly through the fingertips of both hands as you hold. If you like to look down, sideways or up, just go ahead and fix the head's position that works best for you. Use your next inhale to come up. Once you've done so, take your right hand to your left leg and put your other hand behind you. Slide your left sitting bone back just a touch, and then rotate and spin and gaze directly backwards. Try to send your inhales horizontally outwards into your ribs. Squeeze down with your belly as you exhale. And whenever it's appropriate, just twist a little deeper. And now releasing that twist, take your right hand to the floor outside of your body. Reach your left arm directly up. And then side bend your torso to your right. And gaze in a similar direction to what you did previously. Upwards, forwards, or downwards. Really whichever of those feels the best for you. Use an inhale to come back up and onwards to those cat-cow as we do. Go ahead and step back to the four-pointed kneeling stance. Let your knees be a bit behind your hips and your shoulders above your wrists. Then round your back with your exhales to flex your spine. Arch your spine with your inhales. Lift your tailbones and your chins. And then just keep going with those for a little bit. Huge exhales to round and deep inhales to arch as well. Try to make these some of the deepest breaths that you can draw. For the moment, flow on to the high plank position. Pause with your arms straight. Using your knees if it helps, lower all the way down to your belly. And then prop yourself up on your elbows for the Sphinx posture. Let them rest directly under your armpits, or just slightly ahead. Press your elbows down into the ground, lift upwards to your collarbones, and look directly forward as you hold. And if you want a slightly deeper stretch, work toward the cobra pose. If that pinches your lower back, definitely keep elbows down on the floor instead. And either way, just lift upwards through your collarbones as well as upwards through your chin. Now let the base of your ribs come back down to the floor, but try to keep your collarbones lifted. And plant your hands near the bottom rim of your ribs. Just press straight down to come to the up dog. And then finally lift your hips again for the downward facing dog. And this time some pedaling. Bend one leg, straighten the other leg, and work back and forth between both sides. Use your pedal, rotate your torso from right side to left side repetitively. And then take a look forward and step your right foot all the way up to your thumbs. And take your back knee down to the ground. Plant your hands on the floor, just inside of your foot. You can definitely stay there. Otherwise, take an elbow to the floor. Or if you can manage it, both elbows down to the ear. With straight arms, though, as you sink your hips toward the ground, you'll still get a fairly identical stretch. So if the elbows down thing doesn't work, feel free to keep your arms straight as an alternative. Lots and lots of breath as you hold. Press all the way back up to straight arms. Loop back to the downward facing dog. Lunge your other leg all the way forward. Take your back knee down. In the same hand, elbow or elbows placement you did a few moments back. Try to keep your shin relatively vertical by really hugging your left knee into your side as you hold. And then plant your hands to come all the way back up. Step back to the downward facing dog. And this time press both heels closer to the floor as you drive outwards to your palms. Shake your head yes a couple times to loosen up your neck. Then draw your chin towards your chest to neutralize your head. And gaze back toward the tips of your toes as you hold. After that, some really slow and deep breaths. And inhale to roll to the plank position. Drop your knees down. And this time just get a little more creative about your cat-cow creating. You move around in any way, shape, or form that feels good. And just breathe deeply as you continue to move. Anything goes with this one, so just get as creative as you can get. And when you're ready for it, step all the way back to the downward facing dog again. And from there, step your right foot forward to your hands. Turn your back heel down to the ground. And with your front leg bent, come up to warrior two with your torso facing off to the left. Turn your right hand up to face the ceiling. Reverse the warrior, side bend. Once your left hand is resting on the edge of your leg there, give yourself a deeper side bend this time. Really reach strongly through your fingertips. Drop your right hip crease down toward the floor, toward your right heel to bend your front leg just a slight bit further. The next time you breathe in, come back to warrior two. Straighten out your leg entirely. Bend it again. And then this time reach down and grab your right inner ankle with your right hand. Reach your left arm straight upwards into the air and twist your torso open to the edge. If gazing up doesn't feel good with your neck, that very rarely changes because that's based on your physiology and the way your skeleton is built. So if it doesn't feel good to look up, don't force it. Look sideways or down as an alternative. Now use your inhale to come all the way back up for full warrior two. Pause there this time with your front leg bent. Gaze out over the tips of your fingers. And try to keep your knee stacked directly above your ankle by pressing your right knee towards your baby toe for now. And then straighten out your leg completely. Turn your feet to face the edge of the mat. And we'll get warrior two facing the other direction. Spin your left toes around, bend your leg, and with your left hand then facing up, reverse the warrior by side bending. Once your right hand has come to the edge of your leg, reach strongly through your left fingers. If it's hard to straighten your arm, you can always take your arm a little higher upwards toward the ceiling, and sometimes that'll help. Sink your left hip crease straight down towards your left heel. Use an inhale, come all the way back up for warrior two. Straighten out your leg entirely. Just give it a momentary rest. Once you've done so, bend your leg again. Reach down and grab your left inner ankle. Reach your right arm all the way up to the ceiling. And keep rotating and spinning. Use your shoulder placement to press your left knee all the way over to the side till the knee stacks right above the ankle again. Then with your legs still substantially bent and in same position, come back to Warrior Two. Gaze all the way out over the tips of your fingers. Press your left knee towards your baby toe. And then breathe fully. Straighten out your leg completely. Turn your feet to face sideways. If necessary, narrow your feet just a bit. And then take a huge step to get all the way back to the front of your mat. All right, inhale, sweep your arms upwards and then backwards. Forward fold as you exhale and take your hands down. Lift to your fingertips on the inhale. Step your right foot back to a lunge with an exhale. With rear heel facing up, use an inhale to sweep your arms outwards and upwards. Sink your left hip crease down. Press back through your right heel just a little bit harder. And for the next few moments, breathe into that. From there, take your left hand to your left leg. Cross your right elbow all the way over your thigh. Join your hands together in a prayer. And as you keep straightening your back leg, twist your spine. Now release the twist, plant your hands, step back to the downward facing dog. And once you're there, take some attention to your right leg and step it all the way forward to your hands. Turn your back heel up to face the ceiling. Then use your inhale to sweep your arms outwards and upwards. Drop your right hip crease down and press your left heel straight back. And keep breathing deeply as you hold the lunge on the second side. And with your right hand then taken to your thigh, rotate off to the side. Cross your elbow completely over. Once you've joined your hands together in a prayer, press your rear heel back to reinforce, and then keep twisting your spine. The transition is a little bit different. Take your hands to the floor and walk your hands over to the left to face the long edge of your mat. This time with straight legs, come up to your fingertips and then tuck your two bottom ribs down in the front so you're compact. Place your left hand directly beneath your chest. Twist right and reach your right arm straight upwards into the air. Press down through your heels, try to work towards straight legs as you continue to twist. Take both hands to the earth. Spin your left toes backward to face the rear of your mat. Bend your left leg and walk your hands over to the inner edge of your foot. Warrior Two from there. Use an inhale to come all the way up. Straighten your leg for the triangle. Roll your right hip around and forward toward your left big toe. Try to keep your torso stacked above your leg as you reach forward and outward. And then drop your hand down. Twist. Reach your right arm straight upwards into the air. And try to keep the underside of your body just as long as the top. Amy and Edward, that looks really good. Well done. And without coming up, bend your leg. Plant your hands on the floor inside of your foot. Walk your hands over to face the long edge of your mat again. And come up to your fingertips. Place your right hand beneath your chest. Rotate lefts. And reach your arms straight up to the ceiling as you continue to twist. Press through your heels, work towards straight legs. That'll give you some inner thigh stretch and hamstring opening too. And now take both hands to the floor. Rotate your right foot around to face the front of your mat. Bend your leg. Walk your hands over till your fingers rest just inside of your foot. And then inhale back up for warrior two. Straighten your leg. Rotate your left hip around and forward toward your right big toe. That'll help you align your torso above your leg as you reach out and forward. Drop your right hand down. Twist, reach your left arm up, and keep breathing deeply. All right, bend your leg and then plant both hands down there on the floor. Step back to the high push-up position. Lower down through chaturanga. Then breathe in for the up dog. All the way out to the downward facing dog. All right, step your right foot forward. Turn your back heel down. Then come up to warrior one with an inhale. Take your right hand to your right hip. Straighten your leg and rotate your torso strongly right for the revolved triangle. Hinge from your hips. Drop your left hand down. As you twist, reach your right arm straight upwards into the air. And try to press down to the big toe portion of your right foot. Bend your leg and momentarily return upwards to warrior one. With your arms still up, straighten your leg. Turn your feet to face off to the edge of your mat. Spin your feet around to face the rear. And bend your left leg for warrior one another time. Left hand to left hip. Straighten out your leg entirely. Rotate strongly off to your left. And then as you fold, hinge, drop your right hand down to something supportive. Rotate and spin. And reach your left arm directly upwards this time. Bend your leg and inhale all the way back up for warrior one. Straighten your leg. Take your hands to your hips and turn your feet to face the long edge. Now this time, take your feet apart just a little wider so they're separated by maybe 4.5 feet. Turn your big toes inwards. Squeeze your elbows back and take a back bend with an inhale. Then forward fold with your exhale. Use an inhale to lift your chest away from the floor. Turn your big toes in a little further and your heels substantially out. Feel free to stay there. Otherwise, walk your hands back till your fingers align with your toes. And fold. Let's let the top of your head extend downwards as well as toward the floor. Then use your next inhale to lift all the way up to your fingertips. Take your hands back to your waist. Stand all the way up. Pause it vertical for just a moment. And reach both the arms completely out to your sides. Take a huge and big step to get back to the front of your mat. Then join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Let your eyes close and focus on the sensation of your breath flowing around your fingertips. If your mind should wander somewhere else, just redirect to the feeling of your breath. All right, for the moment, open your eyes. And set up for the dancer's pose. Reach your right arm straight upwards into the air. Now, when you take your left hand back, turn your thumb up like a hitchhiker. Bend your left leg and try to grab the inside of your foot so that your thumb remains spinning upwards. Once you've got that, kick your foot upward and into your hands. Let your left hip roll open to the side a little bit. And then, if you like, feel free to lean forward just a little bit. Bend the leg that you're standing on You can let go of the foot if necessary, but let your right hand hang down near the ground. Bend your leg more and try to take your right fingertips to the earth. If you need to let go of the foot, that's okay. Take both hands to the floor for a standing split. Or if your hand makes it to the earth, straighten your leg and kick your left foot straight upwards to the ceiling as you continue to hold. Now bend your standing leg so you can easily place one foot next to the other and take your hands down to the ground. Come up to your fingers, hands to your waist, and then just come back to vertical again. So if the dancer was a little wobbly, try turning your toes out just very slightly. That's up to you. It works for some and not for others. Reach your left arm straight up. Turn your thumb up like a hitchhiker. When you reach back to capture your right foot, try to grab the inside of it so your thumb still spins up. Rotate your hip and chest open to the edge. Kick your foot straight up in the air to the ceiling. The forward lean is an optional thing. Skip that if you wish. Now the secret to getting your hand closer to the floor is to bend your leg a lot. Then let your left arm hang down. Bend a little deeper and a little deeper. If you can get your fingers to the floor, take them there. Otherwise, let go of the foot and do the standing split. If your fingers are on the earth, kick your foot straight upward into your hands and just keep breathing into the bound half moon. Now bend your legs substantially. Take both feet all the way back down to the floor. With your legs bent, reach your arms all the way up to the ceiling. Figure four. Take your hands to your waist. Cross your left ankle over. Make sure you keep your standing leg bent so you have a shelf. Reach your arms out to your sides. And lean forward just a little bit at a time as you hold. Try to find a place where you're approximately parallel to the floor with your chest. And use your next inhale to sweep back upwards. Draw your knee high. Take your foot down, bend your legs, reach your arms up, then take your hands to your waist. Cross your right ankle over this time, with arms extended sideways. Again, a forward lean. Definitely stay higher if it feels okay. Otherwise, lean more substantially. Try to find a positioning where you're nearer parallel to the floor. Use your inhale to rise upwards. Draw your knee to the chest and straighten the leg that you're standing on. Drop your foot or join your hands together in a prayer at your heart. And with your inhale, sweep your arms up. Forward fold as you exit. Lift your fingers on the inhale. Come down to a squatting posture. Roll backward to a seated position. Slide both legs forward. And when you're ready for it, roll all the way down to your back to the floor. All right, now once you're laying down there on the ground, bend your legs and scoot your feet all the way together. Bend your arms to 90 degrees so your fingers face up. Press your elbows down and squeeze your shoulders back in together. Now squeezing your knees, up or lift your hips off of the ground toward the ceiling. Keep squeezing your knees together as you really press down through your elbows. Roll your tail under and squeeze your buttocks muscles too. Now with your hips still lifted, fan your knees apart and come onto the outer borders of your feet. Lift your hips a little higher and roll your tail under. Squeeze your knees together. Let your hips come all the way back down. And then keep repeating. With knees squeezing, lift your hips up. Roll onto the outer borders of your feet and lift your hips higher. Take your knees together and then drop your hips back down. And keep going with those on your own. Try to really focus on contracting your glutes every time you lift. And keep going for a few more rounds of those. Big tail tuck throughout. Except, of course, when you're lowering to the ground. One more repetition to the top. Hold with knees out. Roll your tail under. Press your elbows down hard and squeeze your bum again. All right, for the moment, come all the way back down. Now slide your feet apart until they're separated by hips distance or even just slightly wider. Reach your middle fingers forward and attempt to touch your heels. Bend your arms to a full 90. Press your elbows down into the floor and use that to squeeze your shoulders back in together. Now as you press down through your elbows, lead with your knees. Slide your knees forward toward the front of your mat. Lift your hips way upwards in the air to the ceiling. Now look straight up in the air at the sky. Pretend someone has crazy glued your feet to the floor so they can't actually slide. And attempt to slide your feet forward toward the front of the mat to lift your hips a little bit higher. Pull your belly in. If your chin dropped or lifted, try to level your face with the ceiling again. And just keep pressing down through your elbows as you hold. And this one, tail tuck. Roll your tail under and squeeze your buttocks. And then relax to come all the way down to the earth. Wave your knees from one side to the other side. And then grab the backs of your legs. Rock all the way up to a seated position. Then this time, plant your hands out there. Step or hop back to the plank and drop your knees to the floor. And to set up for a true cat-cow create position, walk your hands back a little bit so your shoulders are right above your wrists. To open your thoracic spine, take your right hands to the back of your head, rotate your chest open to the side, and for the next few moments, just lift your right elbow a little bit higher. Then thread the needle with your right arm. Sweep your right arm all the way through. Take your shoulder down to the ground beneath you, the side of your head to the floor, and just keep rotating and twisting your spine. Drive down to come all the way back up. Once your hands are planted, place your left hand behind your skull. Rotate everything open to the edge. Just lift your left elbow upwards as high as you can. That'll sort of open your chest. Threaded needle. Sweep your left arm all the way across. If it helps, you can walk your hand over till your shoulder comes down to the floor. Let your head rest upon the earth and keep twisting everything open to the edge. Press down to come all the way up. Then that puppy dog pose. Walk your hands forward and try to keep your thighs relatively vertical, though anything near that is fine. Let your chest sink toward the floor. If your elbows can come to the floor, take them there. Maybe your chin, maybe your forehead, or maybe your head lifted. You just choose the one that feels the best. Round your spine to lift your elbows up. Roll your hips all the way down to the floor and come back into the Sphinx posture. While you hold there, stretch back through your toes. Really press your elbows down into the floor to slide your shoulder blades away from your ears. Now you're welcome to stay there as you are, especially if you have any lower back sensitivity. If you want to go a little further, lift your elbows a few inches and then take them down. Either keep doing that to about the same height, or feel free to take your elbows up a little higher. Use your inhales to rise and your exhales to drop. With some practice, if it feels okay, It's good to work to straight arms. Inhales to rise, and exhales to drop. Find your final form of the posture, some area that's deep enough to take your mind off of other things, something that still allows you to practice pain-free. Slide your shoulders down, lift upwards through your collarbones. And then for the moment, roll yourself all the way down to the ground. Bend your legs and wave your ankles thoroughly from one side to the other side. All right, now today, slide your legs a little wider apart so they're wider than your hips, knees wider than hips. Lift your collarbones up. Use your hands to sort of slide the bottom rim of your ribs further forward toward the front of your mat. Now for the moment, reach back, grab the insides of your feet with your thumbs facing up if possible. That doesn't work, take any clasp that works. But squeeze your shoulders back in together. Pitch some body's weight forward by leaning your head nearer the floor. And then mobilize your legs and press your feet straight up into your hands. Shoulders back. Lift your chin and look forward as you hold the bow stretch. And relax to come all the way back down to the ground. Bend your legs and wave your ankles from one side to the other side. Now take your feet all the way down to the earth. Prop yourself up on your elbows like the Sphinx again. You can either let your arms be parallel or interlace your hands. Curl your toes under. Straighten your legs. Find your way to the forearm plank. If that doesn't work so well for you, that's totally okay. You can substitute with some cat-cows instead. If you're in the forearm plank, though, just try to keep your torso relatively long and breathe deeply and slowly throughout. Really tuck your two bottom ribs down and in as you continue to hold out. And then take your knees to the earth. Roll all the way over onto one side and press all the way back up to a full seated position of some type. All right, so start by crossing your right leg over your left. Just put your foot just outside of your knee. And then lean over to the side and draw your left foot back near your pelvis. Wrap your left arm around the leg. Alternatively, you could hook your elbow over it. Slide your right hip a little further back. And then sit tall and twist to the right for now. Then release the twist. So if you've got the flexibility today, take the double pigeon by sliding your right ankle over to the side. If you want a lot more stretch, you can slide your other ankle forward till your shins are stacked, and then finally fold. If that's not working well or just doesn't feel good on your legs, you can always do the figure four again with your left leg bent and your right knee pressing away from the chest. If you're in the forward fold, fold until you feel the stretch in your hip. And if you're in the seated figure four, just keep pressing your knee away from the chest. Use an inhale to sit all the way up. Straighten out your legs entirely. And then cross your left leg over right leg. Draw your other foot back. Sometimes leaning way over to the side will help with that. Wrap your right arm around the leg. I saw this last time some of you hooked your elbow over. Either a great way to stretch. And then as you pull your knee closer to vertical, twist left. Now release the twist. The figure four next. Slide your bottom leg forward, or keep the heel closer to your buttocks, or substitute with the figure four again. And find the variation that's going to work the best for you, and fold all the way forward to get into it. Even now, here toward the end, slow and deep breaths. All right, everybody, use an inhale to sit up. Uncontort your legs and slide your feet forward, and then just roll down your back to lay down on the ground. Once you are laying down, reach your arms completely out to your sideways. And take your favorite spinal twist with your knees pointed to the right. If you don't know what to do, just draw your knees toward your chest and drop them over to the right. Otherwise, any leg position that you like is fair game. Just let gravity pull some of the tension out of your chest muscles. At the end of your every exhale, try to get a bit heavier as you twist. Now sweep them all the way back up. Take the same pose on the other side. All right, when you're ready, find your way to the corpse pose or seated meditation if that's your preference. Just make any final adjustments necessary to get comfortably still. The author Chekhov once wrote that any fool can face a disaster. It's the stress of daily living that really gets you down. Now, I think if you consider the general context of the past year, you've probably noted that that's been true in your life. I'm sure you've had little tiny crises popping up from time to time due to everything that's been going on. And I'm sure that in many of those crises, you probably felt overwhelmed, but you probably mobilized some of your skills to deal with them. And the fact that you're here right now shows that you have dealt or continue to deal with. Now, I think that at the same time, we've all experienced lots of day-to-day stress. And I'm sure you can also feel that weighing on you in some way. Now, I know that everybody here today practices a lot of yoga, and I'm absolutely preaching to the choir. But it's important to note that when stress goes unchecked, it's not good for you. It can speed up your aging process, it can make you sick in all sorts of different ways, and it can absolutely deteriorate your overall life's quality. Now, the good news is that yoga and meditation are an amazing way to sort of offset the destructive effects of stress. You see, if stress runs unchecked all the time, it creates problems, but you can have a little bit of stress, and so long as you check it by the relaxation response, then the stresses that you experience can make you stronger and more resilient. They can sort of even inoculate your body and your mind from the deeper effects of chronic stress. Now, for a long time, when I taught breathing exercises, I used to have people breathe as deeply as possible, and that can very much be a good way to deal with stressors. And on the other hand, some months back, I ran across some really compelling new methodologies by which researchers, psychologists are helping people deal with anxiety by elevating carbon dioxide levels in their system. Now, the methods by which they do this are a little bit complicated, and they use medical devices to see when people's carbon dioxide levels raise up. They're called capnometers. But the basics of the exercise can be done with no machinery whatsoever. It's actually pretty easy. You just slow your breath rate down to fewer than 12 breaths per minute. That means that at the end of every exhale you take, you typically hold your breath for somewhere between 4 to 5.5 seconds. Now, as you continue on with this practice, you don't need the machinery to see that your carbon dioxide levels are raising. Rather, if you just pay attention to the general feeling of discomfort that arises as you hold your breath, you'll know that those levels are ticking up. You see, the discomfort you experience when you're holding your breath has nothing to do with oxygen deplenishing in your body. Rather, it's raising levels of carbon dioxide, which is what you want for this practice. Now, it's actually kind of amazing, but the people who are using these particular modalities of raising carbon dioxide for people with anxiety found that people respond really, really well. In some instances, people have gotten even more relief than they have through medications. So I think it's a good additional technique to add to your arsenal. Now, as we go through the different points in your body today, I will direct you when to breathe. At some point, you're going to feel just a slight bit breathless, which is normal in what you're trying to get to. Now, in those moments, try to remind yourself that you have enough oxygen in your body, and that's not going to change as you continue on with the practice. It takes a lot longer than 3.5, 5.5 seconds to deplenish your oxygen levels. That said, if at any given point you get to the point where you're really uncomfortable and it doesn't feel good to be doing this, take some recovery breaths. Once you feel good again, return to the breath retentions, and after a while, you'll be able to get through the whole body. So for now, if you will, just redirect your awareness to your eyes. And breathe normally. In this one, you don't really want to deepen your breath. Let it be shallow, just as it is normally. And then still focused on your eyes, pause at the end of your next normal exhale and just stop breathing. Breathe in. Focus on your throats, breathe out, and hold your breath out. Breathe in. Your shoulders, breathe out. Breathe in. Your elbows, breathe out. Breathe in. Your wrists, breathe out. Breathe in. Your palms, breathe out. Breathe in. Your fingertips, breathe out. Breathe in. Your hips, breathe out. Breathe in. Your knees, breathe out. Breathe in. Your ankles, breathe out. Breathe in. Bottoms of your feet, breathe out. Breathe in. Sides of your body, breathe out. Breathe in. Back of your body, breathe out. Breathe in. Your navel, breathe out. Breathe in. Center of your chest, breathe out. Breathe in. Your shoulders, breathe out. Breathe in. Back of your neck, breathe out. Breathe in. Center chest, breathe out. Breathe in. Palms of your hands, breathe out. Breathe in. Center chest, breathe out. Breathe in. Bottoms of your feet, breathe out. Breathe in. Base of the spine and top of the head, breathe out. And then back to normal breaths. Just recover by taking completely normal inhales and exhales. So cultivating a mindfulness of your physical body while restraining your breath is useful because focusing on those points at least does something to help you stay present. And when you're experiencing a stressful situation, that body scan is way too complicated, especially if you have to interact with others and you're trying to reduce your stress levels. Now, in those instances, this next breath technique is very useful because it can be practiced in pretty much any situation. Now, the exercise is very simple. Self-paced, I'm just going to ask you to slow your breath down to fewer than 12 breaths per minute. If you have experience and you're comfortable with discomfort, hold your breath out longer, and with some practice, you can get down to only 3 breaths in 60 seconds. No need to force that though, it'll build naturally with time. So return to your normal breaths. Begin pausing at the end of your exhales until it becomes a little uncomfortable. Once you hit that point, swallow to buy a few more seconds. Take an inhale and an exhale when necessary, and repeat the process over and over. And as you continue on with that pace, begin counting how many exhales you take in the next 60 seconds. Beginning now. That was 60 seconds. One more minute, same pace. And that was 60. So the next time you're feeling some stress, try that exercise out by restricting your breath rate, or rather reducing your breath rate. You'll also reduce your heart rate. It's sort of like a deck of cards. That'll make your whole body feel just a little bit calmer. Now, you might have to do it for more than 2 minutes, but if you can do that repetitively over and over, it'll help to take some of the edge off of your stress and make it easier to deal with. And especially if you do that on a day in and day out basis, I think it can really help to offset some of the negative effects of more chronic stressors. So for now, if you will, redirect awareness to your whole body. And whenever you personally feel ready, roll all the way over to one side. And then with both of your eyes still closed, come back to a seated and cross-legged posture of some type. And then join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Remember the person you dedicated your practices to. Either pray for or wish for their happiness and their health. And take a moment to be grateful for the gift of another day. I say that all the time, but really think about it. It's an amazing thing. And if you wish, repeat after me. May all sentient beings everywhere experience peace.